I want to address one final point, and that is, should you get the latest and greatest and spend top dollar? Should you get the cheapest? What is it that you should get? And I want to show you something that's happening in the technology arena, and I actually wrote about that in my book, my first book in 2007, Bowling with a Crystal Ball, where I talked about predicting future technology trends. This is what happens. I'm going to put it as a graph, and I'm going to put here performance and price. There's something interesting that's happening, and you will see that the relationship is something that looks like this. There is what I call a sweet spot. One of the best examples for this is if you take flash drives, for example. I think the sweet spot today for flash drives or SD cards is something around 128 gigabyte or maybe 256 gigabytes, where if you take how much it costs and you divide it by performance here in a flash drive or an SD card is really the capacity. If you take the dollars, divide by the capacity, you're going to find that at a certain value here, which I think is about maybe 256 gigabytes, you're going to have the lowest dollar per capacity. So what happens before that? Well, before that, several things happen. One is you still need to have the same case, and the cost of the case is starting to become a bigger and bigger element or component in the overall price, while capacity is actually significantly lower. So it's starting to go up. The other thing is things become obsolete, and when they're obsolete, sometimes you can't find them anymore, not as much. So it starts to go up. But on the other hand, this is where you're starting to go into the, I'm going to call it the cutting edge. This is the cutting edge of technology. This is where the yields, so when you're building 100 of them, here probably if you're building 100 are, and this comes from the semiconductor industry, which I was a part of, when you're building the cutting edge technology or the sweet spot technology, your yield is probably very close to 100%. So you're building 100 of them work well. As you're starting to go higher here in higher, newer technology, cutting edge technology, this is where the yield starts going down. And now you can't make 100%, you can make 90%. In semiconductors, you're typically going to stay up there. I don't know if you remember when the first Pentium processors came out, and there was a Pentium 60 and Pentium 75 and Pentium 90. What you probably don't know is that they were all built as Pentium 90s, and those that were sold as 75 were those that did not pass quality control as 90, and those that were sold as 60 were those who did not pass quality control operating at 90 or at 75. So the closer you get to the cutting edge, the less or the more dollars per performance you're going to be paying. So to me, what I like to do is I like to buy technology around the sweet spot. So what is the processor that would give me the best sweet spot? And we'll go through that and we'll see what it is. What is the size of disk drive? And we'll go through that and we'll start comparing things, and you'll see that there's a sweet spot. So if you ask the question, or if I ask you the question, do you want to buy the cutting edge or less than that? The way I buy it, okay, forget recommendation, forget advice. The way I do it is I get the sweet spot. I get the level of computers, the performance of computers that gives me the biggest bang for the buck, knowing that there are computers out there that are better performing. And it's just a matter of, I know that in 3 years, I'm going to have to buy something else. I know that this is going to be the performance. And the other thing that I know is that at that point, this is where the sweet spot chart or curve is going to be. So I hope I answered this question. Next is I'm going to go through all of the components that I described in that block diagram I'm going to start going through them one by one, and we're going to do that while watching a website of, or different websites of actually choosing a computer. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is what you were expecting, and I'll see you in the next part.